I declare by the time I turn 30 years old, I will have at least $1 million.
You hungry? Let's make a snack.
Hey, poppin' like I'm supposed to. Watch out for the people that ain't close to. Speak a little something you could toast to. I ain't tryna hear about what you won't do. Moving like I'm into. Hit the ground running like the rent do. Speak a little something that you're into. I ain't tryna hear about what you've been through. Like, hold on.
What's up, good people, and welcome back to my channel where we bond over our favorite TV shows, trending topics, and everything in between that we care about, including this Darius Crooks saga, which is not over. We're just still at the beginning. But I brought this special edition of the Darius Crooks series so that we could cover the events of this past weekend, which shows once again basically the toxic pattern of who we've come to know as Darius Crooks. So for those of you who've been following the story, you may know that Darius Crooks is hosting Dining with Darius events across the United States. They're all illegal. There's no health inspections involved. There's no regulation involved. He's hosting them illegally in Airbnbs, etc. And we'll talk about that at a later point. But the purpose of this video is to talk about the latest saga when it comes to Darius Crooks and his inability to have healthy working relationships with other human beings. And most recently, his sous chef, Marcel, who was hired specifically to travel the country to these illegal Dining with Darius events with Darius Crooks. And Marcel was hired at the beginning of the summer, and the plan was for him to work with Darius for, at the very least, the 2021 run and the 2022 run of the illegal Dining with Darius events. And in return, if he lasted, which many of us knew he wouldn't, if he lasted, he was supposed to get a bonus if he lasted, you know, through both years of the tour. So what happened in this Chicago leg of the tour, which at the time of this recording, Darius Crooks is here in his hometown, which is where I also live, of Chicago. And so, he's somewhere around here in some illegal Airbnb hosting an event, actually right about now, wrapping it up. But it seems as though after the first night here in Chicago with this leg, because they've been here before, something went awry with Marcel and Darius. And so Darius shared that Marcel is no longer with him on his Sunday afternoon live, if I'm not mistaken. What's today? Monday? Yes, it was on his Sunday afternoon live. Darius called himself pretty much doing damage control and getting in front of it. And let's take a look.
Okay. Now that I have your attention, I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Listen and listen closely. I am not going into detail because it will be unfair to go into detail, okay? However, Marcel is no longer working for me, okay? If I'm on live tonight and you're looking and you're going, where's Marcel? He's in Baltimore, okay? All right? That's the elephant. I'm going to go ahead and address it now because we're finna get a lot of comments, a lot of questions back and forth. Okay? So I'm just letting you know from my mouth that he is no longer working for me. Yeah, of course, we wish him the best. Of course. We sure do. We certainly do. But that's it. I don't want to get into detail. I don't want to get into what happened. I don't want to get into his business to tell you things because, it's confidential pretty much. Okay? So I wanted you to hear from my mouth because no doubt you're going to hear it all over the place, okay?
So yes, Mr. Crooks was correct in saying that we would have a lot to say about it because we knew this would happen. We definitely knew this would happen. And am I laughing? Yes, I'm laughing. I'm really laughing because this shit writes itself. It really just does. Darius is a complete mess. He is a complete mess. It is ridiculous. And he is so predictable. And the only people that seem not to see it is the D-wives. But anyway, as we can see from that clip, Darius is attempting to present himself as being an above board kind of person. He's not going to blast Marcel's information. He's going to keep it all professional because that's not what he does. But that's actually exactly what he does, as we can see from this next clip.
Am I saying his business isn't successful? Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't mix words around here. I shoot from the hip. If Marcel's business was successful and he was able to fully support himself and his family the way he wants to do it, he'd be in a different space in life. So yes, if that's what you want me to say.
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
Now, the question that's still on everyone's mind from this situation is, what happened between the mentor and the mentee? This was supposed to be Darius taking him under his wings to help him learn how to build an empire and become a successful millionaire like Darius has become. So what happened? And the streets are talking. As usual, people have been observing things, which I thank all of you in the coalition for always keeping your eyes on this stuff. So when I miss something, I can just browse and see what you guys are talking about and fill in the missing pieces. So that's the case with this. So some people were really paying attention to the Instagram live that Darius had from his Dining with Darius event that Saturday night. And so they happened to catch some things that they feel contributed to what obviously happened between Marcel and Darius between Saturday night and Sunday morning when he made this announcement. So one person commented, so last night when Dining with Donkey was live, while preparing and serving courses, I noticed this. Darius had the phone propped up while he was doing something, and Marcel was at the stove frying chicken. Marcel interrupted twice that I saw, and it appeared not to sit well with Darius. Of course, because Darius does not like when anyone potentially steals his shine. And they go on to say, first, I believe Marcel set a pan of fried chicken right in front of the camera, looked at the camera and smiled. In another instance, they were plating cake and Marcel slid the plate of cake in front of the camera again. And low-key bump slid into Darius, like reached in front of him. All I know is Darius disappeared for a few minutes out of the camera's view. So I did not see this live at all. Honestly, I don't see a lot of them. Even if I record them, I don't watch them. Unless someone points out something that, you know, is valuable for this content. But anyway, so it sounds like there was some contention the night of this particular live, which was, you know, right before all of the, I guess, ish hit the fan. So they go on to say, at another point, I think it was before dessert course, Darius dipped into the bedroom to chat. And I feel he was gone a little too long to have had guests. Also on that live, Marcel had reached over the plated cake to respond to a comment on the live. Someone commented, fire to help for reaching over the cake. That's a no-no. But Darius was doing, as usual, the same damn thing. The fool was picking his teeth, didn't watch Nan hand, then, of course, went back to plating food. Darius reached over the same food as Marcel. Darius tasted a piece of chicken, didn't wash his hands, didn't glove up, and went back to plating and serving. Very believable because we see this all the time in his videos. He is not a clean person, and he has these people clamoring to eat his food.
Now, can we move on?
And of course, as I was looking back at the live, I'm noticing the comments, and the D-Wives are gearing up, you know, in this particular live when Darius is making the announcement. They're gearing up like, should we unfollow him? You know, they're just already ready to roll with whatever Darius says, which just amazes me because let him tell it, and he's always the victim in every one of his stories of a relationship that has gone awry. And they never look at the fact that he's the common denominator, and that just amazes me. But they are in such a daze with him that I guess it doesn't amaze me. It doesn't amaze me. I guess it's like any other cult following when I really think about it.
It's just not fair.
And for who? Your horrible reputation? And now after this heartfelt announcement that Darius made on Sunday regarding Marcel no longer being a part of his team, well, his team of one, he then, per usual, tries to do damage control once overnight. You know, all the buzz started kicking up from people commenting like me, like the I told you so's. We knew that this was going to happen, et cetera, et cetera. And so by the next morning, the person who said that they're not going to blast Marcel's business and they're going to keep it up and up, and that's not what they do, had already reached out to his best girlfriend, Larry Reed Lie, and they got on the IG Live from their beds first thing in the morning, gossiping like schoolgirls. And I have personally not seen anything come out of Marcel's camp. I have not seen any posts from Marcel saying anything in regards to Darius whatsoever. So he's, in fact, the person who's keeping it professional. However, by the next morning, Darius is alluding to Marcel supposedly getting fired because he did something egregious.
But we can find something to talk about.
Well, they talk about me now because my assistant don't work for me no more. My sous chef. So I'm back in the news, in the people's timelines. And
What happened? You got rid? You fired? You don't mind firing nobody, do you?
Slow to hire, you quick to fire here. I mean, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. I got a job to take care of. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I got a job to do. That's it. Yeah, the same thing they do in corporate. You do gross misconduct in corporate. What they do? Let you go.
And you would think he wouldn't go back to Larry Reed to do damage control, because we see how that worked out for him the last time he did it when Black Enterprise magazine actually came out with a rebuttal article that gave more receipts of his egregious acts of fraud and scamming and just being a horrible human being. So he went back to his source, Larry Reed Lie, and I guess maybe because they're both in the same boat. You know, Larry Reed has his own issues and his Surviving Larry Reed series as well. So, you know, what they say, sleeping dogs lie together, something like that. Lie with dogs, wake up with fleas. Whatever analogy you want to use. Yeah, those two, you know, two crooks and a rook. Whatever. I don't even know if that one makes sense. I know it's a saying, but I don't know if it really applies, but it sounds good. Two crooks and a rook. Anyway, this here, I just wanted to do a short little video on this because, you know, it's happening now. And usually I spend so much time trying to put these videos together that, you know, so much time passes. So I really just wanted to get this video out. There's so much more in regards to the toxic behavior of Darius when it comes to his relationships with people. There's actually so much more to Darius when it comes to his toxic working relationships. So you'll realize over time, because there's so much more that I have to cover with this. There's literally, I'm keeping files and things, digital files of the people that Darius has crossed paths with over the years in a working situation and how all of those relationships have gone awry. Now, some may look at it and say, well, Darius doesn't have an inability to have friends, because he'll say, I have, you know, friends for 10, 20 years, etc. And that is true. However, here's the deal with that. Darius is able to maintain relationships with people who hold him in high esteem and on a pedestal. However, in any relationship where Darius is not top dog, is not constantly praised and coddled and put on a pedestal and and never challenged, those relationships are the ones that continue and they thrive. Well, I don't know if you call it thriving, but they continue. But in a normal situation or normal relationships that the rest of us have, where people we love and are friends with, etc., they challenge us at times. Those relationships, we're not always perfect in their eyes, and they let us know and we let them know. And that's a part of a healthy relationship. That doesn't work for Darius. As soon as you challenge him in any way or are not 100% aligned or quiet about anything that you aren't aligned with him, he cuts you off. And if he feels threatened by you, when there's someone who he sees a talent in that he cannot capitalize off of, or once he's done capitalizing off of it, he gets rid of that person. He feels threatened by that for whatever reason. I'm not really 100% sure of, because he has his own talents. But then again, when we go back to some of my beginning series, we look at the fact that he kind of mirrors other people's talents to put together his own. So I think his real talent is being a chameleon. So anyway, we'll dig deeper into that over time. But what this brought to mind, this whole Marcel thing, is that this, again, is one of the toxic cycles with Darius. This is not unique. This was so predictable. This won't be the last time. It's going to happen again. There'll be a new player and it'll happen again. And not necessarily in this sous chef situation. It can just be in any, situation. It can be his food photographer. When are they going to eventually fall out? He'll do something egregious to her, or his videographer, or, whoever else is behind the scenes. So that's just the way that he rolls. But there's literally, and my list is like, I'm putting it together, so it's nowhere near done, but there's literally like 30 people already on the list that I have, like factual situations of Darius treating people who have worked with him in horrible ways. We had, like, from his beginning days, we have the young lady, and I've talked to her about this, and she's okay with her story being told, but I did not get clarity on if she was okay with her name being shared. So I'll save that for the video where I'll go more in depth and see, because I gotta double check and see if she was okay with her name being shared. But anyway, in this particular situation, they had a podcast together over a decade ago, and it was actually, starting to take off. People were really enjoying her, and she's great. She has a beautiful voice and great spirit and all of that. And because people were taking to her even more than Darius, he abruptly ended that podcast. Eventually, a few years later, after he had run off from Chicago after scamming hundreds of people, and he went to New York, he eventually tried to reconnect with her when he first moved to Atlanta. And basically they started up the podcast again. He was like, it was magic that we had together, et cetera, et cetera. He gets her out there, and she's traveling back and forth from Chicago to Atlanta for them to record episodes. And then eventually, I think her popularity was picking up again. And he just decides one day while she's there and they were, due to record like later that evening, that he no longer wanted to do the podcast because he said she wasn't growing her brand quick enough. That was his excuse. And then left her stranded trying to get back to the airport. So this is the kind of person we're talking about. And this was not like some little casual friendship, etc. This was a woman he had known for many years, and they were real friends, talked every day, etc. And this is how their friendship ended. And then some of you may remember Christy, who was the manager of his Greens and Gravy restaurant, who was also a long-term friend from Chicago, who moved to Atlanta to help him run that restaurant because he was overwhelmed with it 2 weeks in and went into a major depression. And so she came to, and I'm not laughing at major depression, I'm laughing because that's one of his go-tos. But she came and basically helped him run that restaurant and took over the restaurant while he traveled the world once he healed, because he said his doctor said that he needed to take trips. That was what his doctor prescribed, that he travel the world. for his mental health. But anyway, and then we have Bruce. Bruce was another chef slash sous chef. He was a part of helping Darius with the center treats for sure, and whatever else he had going on. I think maybe the dining with Darius, but I could be wrong about that part. But anyway, Bruce situation with Darius was a lot like Marcel's, and then that went awry. It started out with supposedly, and this was in Darius's Periscope days, so a lot of this stuff is never, saved by him. Thank God we're recording. I have archives of these IG lives. But anyway, so the situation with Bruce went awry. Darius, originally was trying to supposedly be on the up and up about what happened with them, and then went into dragging Bruce for filth. And then eventually Bruce spoke out himself. Bruce has been quiet. Bruce, like many other people that Darius has wronged over the years, has just kind of gone on with his life. I guess treated it like lessons learned, like I did for many years. So Bruce is around, but, he hasn't come out during any of this. Then we have the Black Food Network Chef Collaborative. So it was a group of chefs that Darius was trying to do like a food network, but with African-American chefs. And basically he was trying to pimp them, for lack of a better word, using their talents and their gifts and profiting off of them and giving them basically nothing in return. So that didn't work out. And again, he's not a good person. He does not have real people skills. He's good at portraying them on camera, but in real life, no. Then we have Danny, also known as Stovetop Kisses, who is, a prominent influencer in her own right now. He knew her when she was a budding influencer and kind of going up the ranks. He ended up stealing her Center Treats business from her. That's a whole thing. I'm doing a video about that in the future. So that was another situation. Then you have Palma, who was his baker at the Trap Bakery, also known as AKA Carolina Pound Cake Company. And, he claimed that she stole pans and all of this, and he has video of it, but yet has never showed this video of it. And when you go to the abandoned bakery that is still there, the Trap Bakery, there's like a ton of pans that you can still see that are in there. I guess I'll maybe throw a clip up if I can find it easily. And now with the Marcel situation, and it's only basically like 24 hours later, or less than 24 hours later, Darius's ego has reared its ugly head, and he's already trying to minimize Marcel's impact on the Dining with Darius's events completely. He's going out of his way to show that he did it for, umpteen years prior to Marcel existing, and he can still do it again, and he doesn't need anyone, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just a real egotistical approach to life. Like, all of us have gifts and talents, etc. I know I have gifts and talents, but I will never minimize or negate the people who are in my life professionally and otherwise, who help me become a better me, who help me get further than I would be able to get by myself. He cannot connect to that. He has an inability to give anyone real credit outside of himself if it doesn't in some way benefit him or feed his ego. So that's just like a quick analysis overview from my own personal experience with him, that being Darius Crooks, and also the things that we've been seeing, the things that I've been seeing for the past few months now, that I've even paid attention to him because, and I checked out. That's why it's been, honestly, it's been a while because I did check out. It's too much. It's ridiculous. It's like living in a soap opera. It's like being too close to a real life soap opera. So, but anyway, the parts that I have been paying attention to as of late, this speaks to how all these pieces tie together and how this dude is touched. I don't know how else to say it. But anyway, that's all I have for this video. I just really, more than anything, wanted to speak to this, give my little commentary on it, give a couple receipts that I've seen out there. For those of you who aren't quite, abreast and aren't a part of all the various, the Instagrams, the Twitters, and all of that was, I don't know about Facebook. That's what his crowd really is, and that's why a lot of them are out of the loop, to be honest, because we not really over there like that. But also, I do want to really give a shout out to Lipstick Alley, and I've been meaning to do that in the past couple videos, where I wanted to shout them out because on Lipstick Alley, they have a Darius Crooks thread that has literally been going on since, what year are we in? I want to say since like 2012 or 2013. They have been documenting Darius Crooks from that long ago and all of his antics. And it's basically like a journal. There are well over 300, if not more, I think it's close to 400 pages, digital pages of information and like entries and posts and comments about Darius Crooks and like all the things that were happening in real time back then all the way through today. And so they have been a great help. For one, if you are interested like in a real in-depth way of this whole Darius Crooks saga, that's a great place to go. And it's like reading a novel. It really is. Also, I wanted to shout them out because for one, they are the catalyst, like the true catalyst. It took years to get us to this point, but they are the true catalyst for shining a light on the truth of who Darius Crooks truly is. And also they've been helpful in myself and other people putting pieces together, and they're still doing it to this day. So I just really wanted to shout them out. And also I wanted to highlight the fact that this ain't new. Because myself and the Kitchenista and other people are speaking out, we didn't create this. We are just speaking to something that has been existing, and we've been survivors. But actually, yes, we've all been survivors in this predator's behavior. So, and we just happen to have platforms to be able to speak to it. So I've been wanting to shout them out for quite a while, and I'm glad that in this video I remembered to do that. So anyway, with that, that's it for this video, for real. And until next time, until I upload the next video, which won't be as long as it's taken to upload this one. Till next time, take care and be blessed. Peace.
That's fine. What law I broke? Well, tell me what rule, what law did I break?